What's going on, guys? Samuel Touches here, back with the first of a few videos I'll plan on doing on Survivor 50. 50, again, as I found this, I should have my review out for this season, obviously. But I think I'll do a couple of fun videos, obviously. For this one, I'm going to rank every single player that appeared in Survivor 50. I'm going to look at the 24 players that appeared on this season and then rank them on a tier. So I'm going for S, A, B, C, and D, and discussing how I feel about them, discussing my thoughts on them overall and on the season. So I thought it'd be a fun video, obviously, and let me know if you guys want to see me do this ranking for other seasons of Survivor. I would love to know down below in the comment section. And I'll definitely do that, obviously. Well, I'm going it could be a fun way to talk about some of my favorite players on the show, honestly. So definitely let me know if you guys want to see me do that down below in the comment section. Let me know what seasons you guys want to see me do these rankings for. So all being said, let's get into ranking all 24 players from 5 to 10. I'm going to talk about each of them in basically in elimination order. And then I will put them on again S, A, B, C, and D. There's no F tier, I don't think any players are worthy of F tier, but yeah. I hope y'all enjoy. Yet, again, so let's talk about the first one with Jenna Lewis, who I think we all can agree was surprised that actually was the first through the season. Well, there definitely was debate on how far Jenna's actually going to make it this season. I suppose that she was spoilers are pretty much good, honestly. I think that I avoided most of the spoilers, thankfully. Opposed with spoilers that were on this season. But yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't think anybody expected Jenna Lewis was going to be like the freaking first boo of the season. And it's kind of disappointing, honestly, considering obviously she was the boring rep of the season, and it's been years since she could be on the playoffs. So, like, hey, I'm excited to see how she would adjust. And then she went in season base, so she's all playing her hands. I had to beat the target switch just right then and there, and then she got very unanimously. Got my lot done, honestly. And obviously, doesn't really change my opinion on Joe Lewis as a player, obviously, but. And I wouldn't mind seeing her play again, honestly. Like, maybe if she was on a much better cast, honestly, or much better circumstances. She definitely would do much better, honestly. But again, it's still kind of disappointing that she said so. Again, that's my opinion, but I'm still probably going to, in terms of the peers again, S, A, B, C, and D, I'm going to put Jenna in C. And then we have the next one who opposed to the one got evacuated, Kyle Frazier. And it was kind of fortunate he got to get fired when he did, honestly. Now I'm pretty sure I thought Kyle was going to come in like a massive target, considering he won a recent season. He probably plays like he's up there with he's probably one of the best players of the new era, one of the best winners of the new era for sure. At least when it comes to gameplay. I mean, he has fine personality. I do like Kyle honestly, but it's like he definitely played an incredible game on that season. So he's probably going to be a target. But in reality, he probably wouldn't be the. I'm pretty sure he wasn't going to be the first vote half his tribe honestly. They went to tribe honestly. And while there was definitely debate on how far he actually would have made on this season, I still like Kyle, honestly. Like, he definitely played a lot better than I expected him to do on this season. He did say that he was going to play a lot more chaotically, but no, he played pretty decently. And, had some allies with him, honestly, which, man, all the fortune. Obviously, the guy basically just tore it off his Achilles and he basically got voted out. I'm sorry, tore off his Achilles and got evacuated. I'm not sure why I said that, but. And it's pretty fortunate, obviously. And again, I still like Kyle, obviously. Again, they were my opinion, obviously, and I'm sure he might get another chance at someone down the road. But considering the second time he got on the season, I'm actually going to put him higher, or tier higher, but in B tier. And next we have Savannah. Savannah. I think I mean, but yeah, I love Savannah. Like honestly, of all the other players, honestly, Savannah's honestly generally one of my favorites. Honestly, even though Hornet was theoretically a disappointing season, obviously, Savannah was. We all agree that Savannah, even though it was spoiled that she was coming in 50, was definitely one of the highlights of the season. Like, you can probably tell that she was a great character. I mean, she probably has the hard Grim Reaper. And you kind of feel that. Well, I won't say she wasn't perfect, obviously. I mean, there were points that she didn't win the beauty championship, probably worked on vote out. She did overall still play pretty impressively. Definitely had some good moments throughout the season. And as a character, she was just fun and entertaining and just a delightful person to watch on screen. And suppose that she is very delightful in real life. And I even chat with her a few times on Instagram, and she is a delightful person. Someone that really just cares about the fan base and really just loves the show. I've seen until she really wanted this for her whole life. And again, from the spoilers on, when I did know that Shia Rosa was going to be on the season. When Shia Rosa going to win was definitely up for debates. But Savannah ended up being the winner, and immediately decided to go as 550. And I still stand by the fact that I think of all the players on this cast, Savannah was probably the most screwed on this season. I mean, I'll say the fact that she actually survived one Java Gansel is very surprising. But yeah, she was definitely a player that was going to have probably the toughest road on anybody, honestly. So I would say her give her as there wasn't really anything she did actively wrong. It's just she had the least connections out of anybody on the cast, honestly, which again is pretty unfortunate. But you know, short time she still made her name herself. She definitely proved that she can really adapt. Obviously, it's just unfortunately, it wasn't her time. But yeah, I adore Savannah. She's kind of one of my favorite players of the new era. I just adore her personality, adore her, just how fun and chaotic she can be, and just she's like a lovely human being. And she definitely aspires not on her short time on Survivor 50. So yeah, definitely not. Of course, her short time. Of course, I'm not gonna put S tier unfortunately because obviously she only got a couple episodes. But I'm still gonna put some. But I am still going to put Savannah Louie in the A tier. Next player that we have is Q. 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 It's pretty phenomenal because I'm not surprised that Q got voted as he did. And yeah, Q played a lot better on this season than I give him credit for. Yeah, one thing we can say, Q played a lot better than we expected him to do. Like, we thought he was going to be a chaotic mess, and he was going to be a early target, and he was going to be the first one out of his tribe, obviously. You guys know it's freaking Q. I mean, we've seen him the last 46, he was the most chaotic presence on that season. Even though he is responsible for the best episode in Euro and Hide and Seek. But yet, he played better than I expected. Not great, obviously, but he probably wouldn't even been the first one voted out of his tribe, honestly. If you really think about it. God, I mean, you can say he kind of got a little swamp screwed, honestly, with the people he was on his tribe, obviously. He did his best, honestly. And hell, I don't think he was initially going to be the target, honestly, though it kind of happened last minute. So yeah, I give Q a little more credit than I expected. And I feel like Q is going to be one of those players. And you probably seen this with some other players on here. But he's one of those players I feel like no matter what, he is always going to be an iconic presence. He's always going to be an incredibly entertaining player. And from a short time, we do get that here. And again, I would not be surprised if we see Q compete for a couple more times on the season. So I do want to have to put him, but I'm gonna screw it. I'm putting Q in E tier. And the next one we can talk about, it's probably one of the more unfortunate disappointments, and there's definitely a few of those on this cast. But we have Mike White. And I think this is a season, I think my opinion kind of went down a little bit on Mike White after this season. Honestly, too, I don't know that because of all the stuff I hear about him outside the show, where fortunately he has not been the greatest outside the show, obviously. Obviously, I'm curious about how Mike's going to do on this season. Like, he definitely was a good presence on Davis Goliath, and before that, I know him on Reason Race, and know him as a writer and actor. And of course, he's now known for White Lotus, which is a show that I have seen. So, I mean, I'm of course fortunate. I probably will put Davey to be turned obvious, and then Mike on. So it's like, we'll see what you do. You're not to take Mike White was kind of a little more screwed here. Considering, it's freaking Mike White we're playing about here, honestly, and honestly, this guy really might went on now, honestly. Even as a character, he wasn't as entertaining as I expected him to be. He was just kind of boring, honestly. I don't think he really showed much in the first couple episodes, and then he basically got. I mean, honestly, he's definitely responsible for one good blindside of the season, obviously, but like the blindside was definitely pretty fun and compelling, obviously, but as a character on this season, not much to report, unfortunately. So, obviously, he's probably the only person who's going to be in this tier, but I'm actually going to put Mike White in D tier. And now we get to one of the most disappointing players, at least from an ending standpoint, and that is Angelina. Yeah, I think of all the players on this season, Angelina was definitely the one that let me down the most, honestly. I thought I don't hate Angelina. I mean, I love Angelina. I loved her on season 37. Like, there's a reason why she was the most iconic person on season. Even though she played terribly, she has some of the most iconic cameo moments in these shows' history. So obviously, in return, a lot of these years later, and plus she's also a mom as well. It's like, she just either go from grades or play more of her moments, or she can make a deep run. Fortunately, we don't know what we got because we've not seen much of Angelina, honestly. Like, you can tell in some moments she does kind of play into that role very well. And she doesn't really play the best, obviously, but I feel she wasn't the best hand either, so I'll give her credit on that. I'll give her that on that, but yeah, unfortunately, Angelina was just not the greatest presence here. And I don't blame it on her, honestly. It's just the editing itself. And I really don't blame her because I know she went on a rant, obviously, about how women are in on Survivor, which, it's kind of been a common thing in Survivor for a long time, honestly. Probably as long as the show is aired, honestly. So it's not just her that makes that. So it's not unfortunate. Again, considering Angelina was an all-time great character, I think they would utilize her very well. and then they don't, which again makes her very disappointing. Again, I will say it again, but again, I don't blame it on her, obviously, it doesn't really change my opinion on Angelina, obviously. But again, because of the unfortunately, because of the ending of the season, I'm at the put her in C tier. Again, not only she did wrong, obviously, it's just how she was edited. And then we have Charlie, who definitely was one of the more obvious returnees, obviously, considering he did play a really great game on Voice 6, and then one probably was the closest player to Wit, obviously, considering his close ally didn't vote for him, which led to a tie vote and will lead to Ben voting for him to win. And so it kind of makes sense that he will make a turn at some point, and here he is. And we're not know what to expect Charlie, because I do like Charlie. As playing is great, not the greatest personality though. I mean, the only personality trait he's known for is that he just loves Taylor Swift. That's really the only thing you know on the show that's fighting for the game. His only personality trait is that I love Taylor Swift. And of course, we still get kind of stuff. Not here, but I was like, he doesn't surprise me on how much I actually enjoyed more of his personality. I think a lot of that really is to the fact that he had this like fun one-sided rivalry with Rizzo throughout the season, where basically he's really upset at Rizzo for not voting for his number Alan and Sophie in the finale, where he actually voted for Savannah. And you can tell that show, you really kind of feel bad for trying a little bit because he kind of like takes that to heart because obviously you can tell he's still very haunted and very just losing the final tribal, and also fortunately comes he doesn't has contact with us since filming. But it just makes for a weird odd comedy on this season where it just makes for a fun back and forth, obviously, and then he ends up getting voted out after enough double tribal, obviously, and he was like in tears because I'm making charge of, which I wanted to make me smile, honestly. And it was definitely a fun blindside, obviously, and again, the whole one side of Rizzo was pretty hilarious throughout. Yeah, so it's kind of weird to put Charlie again, despite the fact he probably didn't play the best on the season. I don't think my opinion really changed from Charlie after this season, but he definitely surprised me. So yeah, I'm screwed. Let's put Charlie Davis in the B tier. And after this gets done, I'm just going to talk about all three of the players now in the Blood Moon, just to obviously get a little out of the way. So first, let's talk about Carmella, who was also kind of a letdown this season. But again, similar to Angelina, it's more for how she was edited on this season. Also, she definitely played the season a lot better than I actually expected. She didn't have as big as a target as I expected her to have, honestly. I think it wasn't until like after the target run, I think she really had that target, honestly. So I would definitely give Camilla a lot of credit that she did play pretty impressively for at least till that point, up to that point. And you think she also kind of screwed, obviously, even though she kind of messed with Jonathan, but she's definitely the least twist screwed the people in the Blood Moon. But overall, I definitely like Camilla. She was just fine on the season. That's more because of her editing. I definitely have Genevieve too. I think we all can agree it's definitely the most unlucky and the most twist screwed player on the season. Most because obviously, not because of her rival Aubrey, but obviously the fact that she found two idols, but they were the Billie Eilish boomerang idols. Okay. 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 Hmm. Yeah, and of course she joined, and then she basically swapped in the tribe where she didn't have any of those people to give vows to, obviously, and then, like I said, it was kind of like screwed in one of the ways where she didn't have any of her allies, and she felt like she just couldn't have, she knew she was screwed and didn't have anything to do about it, obviously. So you really do end up feeling bad with Genevieve from, obviously, because Genevieve was a popular player on point for a reason, and then she didn't really get much of a chance, unfortunately. And then we have Mr. Colby Dawson, who honestly it is probably pretty unfortunate he got burned out he did because when talking about Colby, I wasn't sure what to expect about Colby going into this season. Well, that's most because of his run on Hero versus Villains, obviously, and it's been like 15 years. I don't like Colby. It surprised me a lot more than I expected, actually. Not just as a player, but also as a character as well. Okay? All that great Colby charm that he's known for. And theoretically, if he did go drop down, so he probably wouldn't have gotten voted out. Like the reason he probably got voted out was because of that freaking blood moon twist. Where I feel like I feel like it wasn't that he probably would have made it a bit farther, honestly. Not sure how much he would fall into it, but again, I really enjoyed his time on the season where it made it whole heartbreaking that he got voted out how he did in the blood moon twist. Which I feel like Cloud should never do again. Should really, really stop doing, honestly. But yeah, I loved Colby from beginning to end of the season. Now, in terms of where to place these players, I think for Carmella, I would probably put on C tier. Again, that's just more for the editing, honestly. But Camilla would go in the C tier. For Genevieve, I would probably. I'm between A or B Genevieve, but I think I'll put her on A. And screw it. Screw it. I am putting Colby the Donaldson in the S tier. Our first S tier on this cast. Because like I said, I loved every second he was on screen. It was just fortunate the way he got voted out. It was just because the way he got voted out was pretty unfortunate. And now we get to the jury portion. Jury portion. I hope you guys enjoy this ranking. Let me know if you guys want to see more of these rankings of Survivor seasons down below in the comment section. I'll definitely like to do this for me a future Survivor season. Let me know which specific ones you guys want to see down below in the comments. Bam, now we're going to talk about D, who was the last winner to Made the Forest, obviously. And again, I don't have much to say about D in this season. I feel like she also wasn't the best at it at some points, but she definitely shown to be a pretty impressive player and should still pretty much have it, honestly. And the reason she got because she's a former winner, obviously. But yeah, D, the fact that D actually may have watched it honestly, it's pretty impressive actually. And this is like the same and she plays this, and she has great personality. She'll have more fun. And you can tell she's playing a lot more fun this time around, obviously, and she's really enjoying herself a lot more, which I mean, she's been trying a little bit more, honestly. Okay, it's surprised that she actually made it far. Like, I feel like it's going to be one of those winners that I feel like she's going to make it, like, at least this far or at least later on any given season. And we kind of heard that here, obviously. I don't have much to say about D beyond that, honestly, but I still like her, so I'm putting her in A tier. And now we're talking about the two people down voted out by the freaking duos twist. First up, Christy, who again is a non-female person I don't have a lot to say about. And a non-female player that has got unfortunately underrated. Now, I thought that Christy was probably one of the players that I was the least excited for a comeback. I didn't hate Christy, obviously. I'm never been the biggest fan of her, honestly, but I thought she had good potential, honestly, to do well on returning playing season, so I was curious to see what she would bring on here. Unfortunately, we didn't really get much, unfortunately. I mean, she definitely had a moment, obviously. She had more moments than any of the female players, especially with her, trying to play more better and be a lot more sociable. So you can see how much struggles with that, obviously. But you didn't really go much anywhere, obviously. And when she was kind of the coach, you can tell she was just gonzo. So even as twisted I think Chrissy was probably going to be doing this run anyways. And there we get the coach. And Coach is a weird anomaly on this season. Now, of course, I think we all were excited for Coach, considering, it's freaking Coach. It's Coach, so he's probably one, if not the best character on Survivor. I mean, people on Survivor still emulate Coach to this day. And I thought he was fun in this season. Like, I'd say I'll Coach, honestly. He doesn't really have any of the true standout moments in this season that he would on any given season. I mean, I did like his kind of little rivalry with Tiffany, and I did like his match with Ozzy throughout the season. And I think those wraps up would actually be a big storyline this season. But I like the back and forth between both of them on this season. I thought it would be more important, but for what we have with that moment, storyline, it was very interesting and compelling. And of course, we still got a lot of funny moments, especially shows with our players, but we don't get like the true standout moments that we've gotten in his last three appearances, in my opinion. So I would say this is probably in the Bears episode as being his weakest appearance on Survivor. But Carter's biggest appearance is still great. So for Chrissy, I am unfortunately going to put her on C tier. Probably the high end in C tier, honestly, because she had at least more moments to shine. And Coach, I'm going to put him in the middle A tier. And next play, Christian. I think we all agree. I feel so bad for Christian. Now, of all the players on this cast, Christian was one of the players I was probably excited for the most. He was my favorite player from David vs. Goliath, so of course I was excited to see him return again after all this time. I mean, obviously he's not an actual professor, and he also had a kid too as well. So we're gonna get a lot of emotion from him. And again, you think he probably will win considering that the big edit he get on this season. I feel like Christian's one of those players I feel like he's always gonna have like a big edit on the season. And we do kind of get that, and honestly, he was honestly entertaining. I really had no issues with Christian throughout the season, except obviously the way it goes out. Obviously, I can go on this. That Gina Bound twist fucking sucked. Like I hated that twist, and I hate how it basically kind of screwed him. Honestly, I mean, what does a lot of people probably wouldn't have voted. Anyways, that happened. The fact that he hadn't had to vote for himself, and then had to tell everyone about it. It basically reinforced it, honestly. Which again was pretty disappointing. I mean, even Christian himself, honestly, even agreed that was terrible. Like the moment we lost that challenge, my heart just sank. But aside from that, he was incredibly entertaining from beginning to end. He showed that great fun personality he had in Davis' life. And he just has made so fun one-liners. I mean, that freaking his Joker episode 2 was pretty impressive. And while I know Christian Dumbledore, I feel like he's not really going to make it to the deep end, honestly, because he's just so goddamn likable. He still continues to be a fun presence, and I really loved him more this time around. And I would not be surprised after how he got screwed on this season. We see him at least like 1 or 2 more times after this season. I really got your hope to honestly, because I love his time skin. I feel like he really deserves redemption after this, so hoping for a return for Christian at some point down the road. But yeah, I absolutely love him. He's easily going in S tier. Then we have Stephanie Grosso. Now, what did you have to feel about Stephanie coming back for a to play season? Because I don't hate Stephanie, obviously. I do enjoy Stephanie as a player. So, but honestly, it's been years since we've seen her. And the last couple times we have seen her recently in 2020s, obviously, with the Trace and Grass. She was the most riveting TV. And unfortunately, we kind of feel like get the same on this season, though. I still enjoyed her from. Again, her editing can be a little all over the place at times. We never show what they really want to do. You tell there are a lot of times again what they really want to do with Stephanie until her Brew episode. But she goes a little more growth than her last times on the show. I mean, she's now like a mother of three, obviously, so there's that. I mean, gameplay wasn't really the best, honestly. I mean, gameplay was kind of like what I expected on it, but you come when you see her on the trailers, obviously. And I think I wish relationship with Saria was a bit more developed on the season. I wish, honestly, I'm kind of surprised they didn't really focus more on the relationship aside from one episode, obviously. But certainly was solid enough on the season. Again, this is probably yeah, if I were rank Europeans, obviously it's probably would be like third behind Palau, behind Guamo and Palau. I think everyone's the weakest because obviously she was only 2 episodes. But just someone that's always I've enjoyed in every season she's been in, and while there's definitely not a high tier appearance from her, I've still enjoyed her nonetheless. And I'm gonna put her in B tier. Then we have Emily Flippen. Now going into this season, I'm really not sure what to think about Emily going into this season. Also, she was my favorite player from 45, obviously. That's more because of the growth she had throughout that season. And while she definitely wasn't perfect gameplay, I still liked her on that season. Like I said, she was my favorite player in 45. But you're like, what's really bringing Emily on this season? And then when you find out she kind of wants to, like, basically throw that growth out on the window, go for a chaotic presence, you're like, oh, Kevin, go and get that more. And he basically did get that. Now, what I will say about Emily, honestly, I feel like her run this season is going to be one of the more divisive runs on this season. As I've seen a lot of people say they absolutely loved her chaoticness and her basically just, spelling secrets and her just being, like, crazy and weird and all that stuff and off kilter sometimes. Like, you can kind of feel that sometimes with the off kilterness. So, one of my thoughts, I fucking loved her on the season. Again, I can understand why the chaoticness would be a lot people's cup of tea, especially with how I feel like it's just overpriced. I feel like it's just the same thing with her over and over again, honestly. But again, I just found it to be like so entertaining and just. It's kind of fun seeing just this side of Emily, obviously. Again, was she going to the gameplay presence? Not really, and not at all, honestly. I think it just kind of brought her down when it comes to gameplay presence. But as just a fun, entertaining presence, she was just a delight to watch. Yes, so yeah, so yeah. So this definitely is the main goal, but I mean a little bit obviously, I do understand why people won't like her. I debate why not to put an S tier or an A tier, obviously, but honestly, but in the end, I guess I'm gonna put her in the high A tier. Like I don't think it's enough to really put her in the up echelon this season, but she was still a fun presence, and hey, if we see her again, I would not mind. Ozzy, 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 Oscar the Grouch. I think like a lot of people, I wasn't sure what to think about Ozzy returning for a freaking fifth time on Survivor. Like, did we really need Ozzy returning for a fifth time? Again, it's nothing. It's nothing against Ozzy. Like, I mean, I generally do love Ozzy as a character, as a player, and as a character, obviously. But I think after his time in Game Changers, we're like, did we really need Ozzy again? Did we need him returning for a fifth time? A fifth time? So again, his time in Game Changers didn't really have much either. But I will say, He really surprised me on this season. Honestly, it was a genuine surprise. And I say, well, again, I feel like it's going to be another one decisive run, but there's one thing we all can agree, it was definitely much better than his time Game Changers, for sure. So then because this time, Ozzy actually started not only be good on the physical front, he started actually, do what he felt like he should have done. Actually play the game on socially and actually do well socially. Actually play the game socially and try to do the social and shooting aspects of Survivor. Which I think what definitely made it interesting. It definitely showed a different side to Ozzy this season. That was definitely a thing, especially relationship with Suri throughout the season. Especially with his relationship with Suri throughout the season. And Cody continues his challenge prompts, obviously, but he definitely plays some ways a lot better than you would expect, obviously. And the difference at moments that were definitely pretty impressive. And even though I don't think he's still not perfect, obviously, and especially with the Mount White episode and the fact that he basically was on his own on that split tribal, and then he got voted out again with a lighter in his pocket again. Like it's really one of the most frustrating things happened on the show in recent memory. I think we were like, seriously? Like he really had a dream in that episode, and it was kind of fortunate because I was really actually rooting for Ozzy. I was rooting him for a long time throughout this season, actually. But that super just he was so close, man, so close. Okay, I mean, while there was definitely a lot of people wanting Ozzy actually would even win this season if he means, considering he felt like Sorry was more in charge, honestly, and she kind of was, obviously, but. Hey, to find out that we get about the best gameplay we ever seen from Ozzy is showing that he's showing some growth 20 years later. Like he's still obviously still not perfect considering the got brought out when Alice pocket again. But at least it's a start. So I'll give him that. I mean, what I want Ozzy again? Probably not for a long time. I think I've prefer him to get on the Shrine Survivor than anything, honestly. So maybe we'll wait a bit, honestly, and hoping maybe if we do see Ozzy eventually, like I will not be surprised, honestly, though, considering that CBF seems to love Ozzy. But yeah, I kind of wouldn't mind, honestly, considering that he's showing a lot more growth this time around, so who knows? The next time he actually will actually improve and actually win this time. I doubt it, but we can hope. I know it's a lot about Ozzy, but in terms of the tier, I would also put. I'm also gonna put Ozzy in A tier. Which even I'm surprised, honestly. Like, again, I'm not sure why would the places amongst his other appearances, obviously, because all his other appearances are great, obviously. I think I'll probably put this as fourth behind his appearance in Game Changers. But again, the fact that he had a great run this season and actually improved on his gameplay level. But again, that whole thing with him getting brought over Alpine again does bump him down to A tier. Next player we're discussing is Mr. Rick Devens. Devens. Dude, who I absolutely adored on this season. Yeah, I would not go much to expect Rick Devens, obviously, because he was definitely an interesting character on. Very obviously, I know a lot of people absolutely hated Rick Devens on that season. That's because I feel like got a little overexposed after Kelly Williams got voted out. So I really don't blame him too much on Devens himself, honestly. But I knew in the next Triple A season he was going to turn, even though it was such a kind of surprising. He was actually one of the alternates apparently, which was kind of surprising actually, considering bigger Rick Devens. But yeah, basically, I loved him as much to finish on this season. He's definitely one of my favorites from this season. Obviously, he doesn't really play the best game, obviously, especially during his last few rounds. I didn't think he was actually going to win, honestly, but Rick is just one of the players, honestly, who loves the game of Survivor, and you can feel every fiber of his body that he absolutely loves this game. And I loved his time on the show from beginning to end. You can just tell how much he loves the game, how much he enjoys being there. And he definitely has some impressive moments and some fun character moments. Like obviously him being involved in that Mr. Beast Sling made him an iconic character. It's gonna make him an iconic character. To be before that, honestly, he definitely has some fun little one-liners, some fun moments throughout. He was just a delightful person to watch in the season. And I know he hasn't really gotten a lot much heat on the season, but again, that's because he wasn't overexposed here. Again, I wasn't expecting them to win, unfortunately. Also, the fact that he made, I must say, the fact that he even made 7 plays, honestly, is actually one more far than I actually expected to make, honestly. I thought he'd be like early merge boots. That's weird, honestly. So yeah, I definitely want to enjoy this more than his experience on Engine Extinction, obviously. It's definitely up there, but Overall, I definitely lost this time on the season. I generally would not be surprised if, and overall, I think I would not be surprised if we do see Rick Devens at least like one or two more times on Survivor down the road. So yeah, screw it. I'm putting Mr. Rick Devens in the S tier. Sorry. Sorry Fields. Now, now, I know a lot of people seem to be a little over upset with Suri, or at least people don't like Suri because she feels like it's been overexposed a little bit how much she's been around TV lately. But Suri in 20 is honestly feels like one of those players and characters that's always going to make an impact on any given season, no matter how short it is. I mean, she's the person that literally got off the couch and played Survivor. And I absolutely love Suri. Like, I absolutely loved her on every season she's been on, honestly. Again, eventually I do plan on going to do an updated ranking where I rank all her appearances on reality TV. So you can expect that coming at some point down the road. But I pretty much love every single one of her appearances, even obviously somewhat better than others. But Suri is always a highlight. She's a delightful person, she's not the kindest human ever, and she's great on the social aspects. Always issues, however, and still is an issue. It's just never getting to the big tail end like getting to Final Tribal. Because Suri is just generally a likable person, and no one's gonna want to take someone like Suri, especially since someone that unfortunately can't win challenges, unfortunately. I was hoping that'll change this season, obviously, but it's repeat itself. As for this time around, it's Suri. Like, it's freaking Suri. I think this is not a great appearance from Suri. While it doesn't have like the true highs of Suri that we were wanted from her previous appearances, she definitely proves that she still has it, obviously. And while she has trouble getting to the talent, obviously, also there's more of an option. She can't just win challenges, unfortunately. Can't like do this or do that, unfortunately. But she did prove that she really is the best in the win for a reason. I mean, she was responsible for a lot of big moves on the season. Some of the big moves on this season. She developed relationships, honestly, with Ozzy and the result that took her pretty far into the season. She used her Delpho incredibly well at that split tribal. And she still had fun relationships between all the players. And, and I was just really hoping that this was going to be the season where she actually won. I'm not just me, but I think we all were hoping that this was going to be the season that Sphere win, which for me at least, honestly, I've always said this, honestly, that would have made a lot of sense. That would be a perfect ending to this season. Just saying that, one, obviously it's Final 50 itself, and two, it's been 20 years since Suri basically peed on Survivor. So I thought it would make a lot of sense, honestly, for her to actually finally make it to Final Top Council and win. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, obviously, and I mean, the part that I was laughing saying unfortunate is that this time she didn't get twist screwed. She didn't. The only problem, I mean, you kind of say maybe a little bit considering Tiffany won immunity and she was more the main target in three. But aside that, honestly, she didn't really get screwed in any way. She didn't get like twist screwed or unlucky, obviously. So I'd kind of give it that, honestly. Like at least this was like the most normal way Suri has been voted out on Survivor. I'll definitely give it that on that front. Again, it's just very disappointing. Obviously, this week did not end up being the winner this season. That would have made for an incredible ending, obviously, and for half a some people still feeling it. Again, when they revealed her vote, I was like, no, like my heart really broke, honestly, because I have to love Suri. Like, she is the best in the play for a reason, obviously, and I'm sure we might still see Suri appear like a couple more times on Survivor or maybe our area shows. But she's one of the players. I think no matter how many times she's been on Survivor, she is always going to let her be on the social strategy aspect. Just again, aside from maybe the traders, honestly, obviously, she is going to always have trouble making it to the tail end of the season. Which again, it's pretty unfortunate because I really wanted that. But yeah, it's still traders, obviously. But yeah. Again, I'm not sure where I would rank those months or appearances. Again, I might do that video at something down the road, or is a short video down the road. But yeah, screw it. I'm pretty Serena's here. Now we get to the final song 15. The next being the fifth placer, Tiffany. And it's kind of disappointing, unfortunately. I mean, Tiffany was probably like the WTF pick of this season. But a lot of us bet that you knew would probably making that deep run, or probably the one point of the season, someone that really couldn't really make a name for herself. Again, I like Tiffany from 46 on, so she's definitely one of the favorites from that season, but I wasn't sure we wanted, to be on a season like this. And in some ways, it kind of shows that he probably shouldn't have been, honestly. And again, it's something to do with Tiffany as a whole, honestly. And again, it's another case when, again, another female player on the season just gets very underrated. I mean, I think there were like a few structured episodes which she didn't get any professionals, if I remember correctly. Which again is very disappointing. Of course, also different to have fun moments and do someone to prove that she can be a good player and she can be a good presence to watch. I won't say she was boring by any means, honestly. I mean, when she's shown on screen, honestly, where people rival the coach, her back and forth with a lot of players throughout the season, with Aubrey, Joe, Ozzy, Sari, Devins. Again, when she's shown, how fun a character she can be and fun a player she can be. Again, her game wasn't the best, obviously, and she probably wouldn't have gotten voted out, and also she didn't win the Immunity at Final 6, and obviously she got voted out Final 5. So, she never was the best in terms of gameplay this season, she did have her moments. But again, I still liked Tiffany, obviously. I still enjoyed her. But again, it's just another disappointing. Again, it's just another disappointing portrayal of a female player this season, which again is a frustrating problem with this season, unfortunately. But I still like her, so I'm still going to put her in. I'll put her in a B. And now we get to this season's 5-4 final making loser. Apparently it was like 60%. Apparently people decided for 4-5 making, they probably want to vote. And again, we have Rizzo. being a five making loser for a second season in a row, for a second time period. Which is kind of fortunate if you think about it, honestly. Well, now I actually liked Rizzo from 49 Hours. I think like with Savannah, he was definitely one of the best parts of that season. By 49 not because I can be a great season. Again, I could still before I got Rizzo's probably gonna be one of the more divisive new era players, mostly because of him saying ROZ, Riz got baby constantly. But I don't know why not just I've gotten old and I just always smile whenever he's on screen. When I know Ribbon's one liners, his back and forth with other players. I just enjoyed him a lot that season, and you can say that's him like here, honestly. Well, like the last season, definitely is a lot of debate on Rizzo would actually win the season. And one, of course, it's kind of weird that he honestly never actually learned how to make fire, which is going to be another big issue, which is going to be a topic for another video. Honestly, I liked him a lot more this time around, honestly. Again, he was entertaining, he was likable, a lot of fun moments he had, especially with his one-side rival with Charlie in the first half of the season. And especially with other players, like Colby, Aubrey, Jonathan, Serene, of course, no one between Serene and Ozzy being like fun back and forth throughout the season, having fun relationships as well. The guy was just a fun presence to watch, and that's the best way to describe Rizzo. He's just one of the most pure, heart, likable players to ever be on screen. He's just so fun and entertaining to watch, and kind of a little more devastating that honestly he was like a few episodes short. It kind of made more disappointing that the guy basically was once again one fight making it around shy and making it to the end again in a back-to-back season. Again, Rizzo's one who I feel like is always going to be like a very divisive player, and this is what I gather and see from a lot of people I know talk about Rizzo. Again, a lot of people absolutely adore him, and a lot of people that absolutely can't stand him and can't stand his presence. But me though, I'm on the format. I think this really cemented him as one of my favorite players from Nero, honestly. And honestly, I would not be shocked if we see Rizzo at least one or two more times on Survivor. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on a lot of reality shows in the future. I feel like Riz God's not going to go anywhere, honestly. At least to me. And I would enjoy that. He's like one, like some of the Christian and a couple other players. He's one of those players I feel like is always going to be entertaining and fun to watch on any given season. And this season kind of proves that, honestly. So yeah, screw it. Rizzo's going next year. And now we have reached the final three. The final three. And now what we're going to talk about is Joe. Joe. Yeah, I put it down like anybody was excited to come back. Obviously, I'm going to phone up the powering and see people were excited for Joe to come back. Again, I probably like Joe Boy probably more than most people. I do always do see that he's like honoring checking aspect. It's kind of what made the post merge of that season kind of not great. Okay, but seeing how big Eddie got that season, honestly, it was no surprise he was going to come back for the next screenplay season. And we were right. Honestly, again, but obviously disappointing aspect of that, honestly, was the fact that he wasn't really going to change his honor and integrity aspect of his game. Honestly, which Which is also a weird thing I haven't seen from the last Riot players, obviously, and like people want to play with such honor, loyalty, and integrity. And while I obviously don't have like any like true issues with that, like obviously I don't have an issue in general with people like playing honesty and loyalty. It's always just the way they do it, obviously. The way they basically just berate other players for playing deceptively and playing and being manipulative. We know that's kind of how it works. Did you not see that guy, what happened to Coach in his last season? Sorry, something like that, but yeah, that's kind of reason why Coach. One reason why Coach lost in his last season. The coach was even on this season. Unfortunately, I still find Joe to be as entertaining or as likable as he was last season. And I think the fact that didn't have Eva this time around to really like make him more likable kind of proves that honestly. Now, this does not mean hating Joe as a person, obviously. I'm sure in real life he's like one of the most likable and pure people ever. But I am more talking about his performance on this season, and I just didn't find it to be that entertaining. Like, he definitely has its moments for sure, and obviously, not that I won't call him like a terrible play on, like, unwatchable or anything, but most time he was just kind of there, honestly, and you can tell from a certain point that he was basically going to be dragged to the end again. Which fun fact, I kind of predicted that actually from the before the season even started, honestly, after that Joe was going to be a new era losing two-time finalist, and that was great. Now, one thing I'll say about Joe is that along with next person talking about, he's definitely one of those players I can see always making a deep run on any given season. And this season kind of proves that because he's always like a strong physical presence. I can't see like why they would get rid of him honestly early on. Honestly, again, why not his wins always going to be questionable, but he's always going to make at least a deep run because of his physical presence and hair likability. Again, like I said, I knew for a fact in episode 2 where basically got upset at Rick for playing a multiplayer game, obviously, and then getting like very grumpy and just some mixed reaction from the Mr. Beast coin, like, yeah, just come be distracted again, not getting votes. And again, I was right. Which again, it's pretty unfortunate. It's pretty unfortunate. Because again, it's this Survivor we're talking about, man. And I feel like we see this a lot of places where people get upset at others for basically being manipulative, obviously. And while I can't say you can't be upset, obviously. It's almost the way they're upset, the way they're trying to be like, oh, you're a terrible person, no, you're not good people, and all that stuff, all that stuff. Like, how can they do it? Why can't they do it my way? It's how they enforce that. That's always the issue. Like, it's definitely not a new thing, obviously, but it's become more present, honestly, in recent seasons. And again, that's kind of what made like the post-merger 48 not so great. And even though they also found that they basically were mocking Joe for that aspect, you can tell he was going to be able to lose the finals again. Right, so yeah. Fortunately, I did enjoy Joe's talent, honestly. I would not be surprised if we see him at least like one or two more times after the season. So we'll see how that goes and see that he will finally change his best right now. Unfortunately, I'm putting Joe in the seats here. And now we get to our runner-up of the season, and that is Jonathan. Now again, of all the players on this cast, Jonathan's probably the only player on those guys, honestly, that I was not excited for. Like I guess I had more excited for Ozzy or even Joe, honestly, than I would for Jonathan. He's like the only one on this cast I did not truly care about, honestly. I didn't like hate him by any means, but I really didn't care about his running for it too whatsoever, honestly. I don't know if it was because of his arrogance or how he acted at times, or I just didn't really enjoy him much that season. Again, for all my God, thankfully I'm not the only one that feels that way, but yeah, but I knew he was definitely coming back, obviously, because the production seemed to love Jonathan. I was just hoping I would enjoy him this time around. And rapid report, I did enjoy him more this time around, actually. I don't think he turned like too much his, but he at least wasn't as arrogant, or wasn't as like, he wasn't as arrogant or pouty and all that stuff, like kind of was last season at least. He at least tried to change up some ways of his gameplay, obviously. Well, it wasn't the best, obviously, two options that kind of wanted him to lose. I can at least say I enjoyed him a lot more this time around, obviously. In general, I don't really have too much to say about Jonathan, if I'm being honest. Like, he definitely got a strong end from most of the season. He definitely got a lot from content. He definitely had fun after relationships, whether it be with Camilla or Dee or Rizzo and with Devins and all that stuff. Like, he had good focus throughout the season. And again, like with Joe, he's someone that is likely going to make a deep run on any given season. I don't see how you can get rid of Jonathan at any point during the pre-match, obviously. Again, whether or not he'll get the respect is always up for debate. But yeah, Jonathan's one of those players that I is always going to make a deep run, obviously, and just where he's going to win on, so where he's going to change his gameplay, obviously. But again, at least I can say I enjoy him a lot more this time around. Not want to say it's one of my favorite New York players, obviously, but again, I'm happy that I at least enjoy him this time around. So yeah, I'm going to put him in B tier. And now, we are going to get the winner of the season, the winner of Survivor 50, which is Aubrey. And you know what the disappointing thing about Aubrey's winning, honestly? It's the fact that I'm not as excited and happy as I feel like I should be. Which again, shouldn't come play with the issue of the ending of this season. Because again, I feel like Aubrey winning, it'd be like 10 years after her time called wrong with it. There's still a lot of debate whether or not she should have won with Michelle over Michelle last season. Like, people still have that debate to this day. The fact that 10 years later, after 2 more times, obviously, and the 4th time, she actually got her much deserved win. You think that's not. You think that'd be something? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, okay. Congratulations, Aubrey. I'm as excited as I feel like it should be. Honestly. Now, I feel like Aubrey on this season. I pretty much enjoy Aubrey overall. Honestly, I feel like she's has grown on me over time. I don't remember like her that much when she first competed, but after rewatching Kalrung and her other seasons, I definitely enjoy her a lot more. But again, just yeah, I feel like I should be more ecstatic and she went. But again, a lot of really just how underage she was at times and how really edited she was at times, whether it be from the screen time or the content that they showed of her, honestly. Now, I'm serious. I still enjoy her overall in this season, and I'm happy that Aubrey finally got her win. But I can tell from what I've seen from a lot of people online that a lot of people are really going to be like super hard on Aubrey this season. Like, yeah, she finally got a win, but did she deserve it? At the course, again, I did say honestly that I want Rizzo to win. How I wouldn't put Serena, honestly. I think if you switch Aubrey and Serena, honestly, that would be amazing, obviously, because obviously I think Serena. It's picking Serena, so that would have definitely made for a perfect ending. But yeah, I just sad that I'm not as like ecstatic about Aubrey winning to feel like it should be. Like she's still having fun months, obviously, especially in the first half. The first half wasn't the greatest, obviously. I think most of the thing that really showed from Aubrey in the first half was really only trying to get Paul up in Survivor and also really her rivalry with Genevieve, and she was kind of mostly on the bomb that time, and it's very lucky she probably would have gotten voted out to do that with the tribal. Or Genevieve might give it out first, but then maybe Aubrey. Only nice, obviously. So, and of course, her fight outplay at the Deep Council made me feel like that Aubrey wasn't going to. Like, I don't think, like, she basically wasn't in winning contention probably up until the final night. It wasn't up until then when she was actually in true winning contention. And after, Ozzy and Rick and Sri came vote out, she's like, what other choice is there? Which again, plays the issue of the editing season. Again, I'm still happy she won. I'm just fortunate I'm not as excited as I feel like I should be. Now, despite that, I'm still actually going to put her in the A tier, actually. Like, probably at the bottom of that tier, unfortunately. I debate between A and B, honestly. Because I still enjoyed it overall, honestly. Again, it's not a case where I don't think it's anything to do with Aubrey as a player and Aubrey on this season as a whole. Again, how she won the final immunity. She definitely had fun moments and fun relationships with our players throughout the season. It's really just. I just wish I was more excited. I wish it was better edited. I wish it was more better explained of why Aubrey could have won the season. Just what is the weird issue with the editing this season?